One of the biggest things that stops people a lot of times is that they run into adversity, they run into problems, they run into challenges, and they think that it has something to do with them, that somehow they're causing the problem, right? That somehow that problem is unique to them, and it becomes intimidating, right? It overtakes them, and they don't realize that those problems are literally part of every single person's progress that happens, right? Along the journey, every single person is going to face the same exact problems. I remember the first big job that we ever did that I was out on by myself, and there were just things happening, equipment breaking down, trucks being late, all kinds of things going wrong on this job, right? And I was so stressed out, man. It was like the very first big job that we did. It was like a $680,000 job, and so I was like, man, this thing has to go perfect. This customer, everything has to go smooth. And there were just natural challenges that were happening. And I called a buddy of mine and I was like, man, can I talk to you for a couple of minutes? And he's like, sure, man, go ahead. What's wrong? And I said, man, this is happening and this is happening. I got down through this entire list of probably a dozen things, right, that I was so stressed out about on this job. And he's like, on the other end, he's like, man, that's it? Are you done? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, awesome, man. Yeah, all that stuff's happened to me like 25 times. That's perfectly normal. There's nothing, you're not doing anything wrong. Those are just the challenges that happen on these big jobs. And, just overcome it, handle them, make sure you're communicating with the customer. So, to everybody that runs into these types of problems, just remember that it happens to everyone. No one is immune to facing the challenges that happen. And the bigger your goals are, the bigger those challenges are gonna come after you. And it is how you deal with those challenges and the mentality that you're able to take from challenge to challenge that ultimately creates the highest level of success and keeps the momentum in your favor. Instead of every time you face a challenge, you kind of stop and the momentum goes away and you have to restart. If you just keep moving through those challenges, success will find you a lot faster. When it comes down to it, it really is the solution that matters the most, right? And it is how you handle that solution. One of the rules that we have here at the Pavement Group is like, the bigger the challenge, the faster we tell the customer, right? If it's a big challenge, we tell them fast. If it's a massive challenge or a huge problem, we tell them extra fast, because we always want those answers or those problems coming from us as opposed to them discovering them on their own. So remember, it is always going to be the solution to that challenge is always going to be what you're defined by. Everybody is going to face challenges. For those people who are in the construction industry, those challenges are every single day, right? Whether it's equipment breaking down or trucks being late, or in our case, the asphalt plant breaking down and there's a huge line of trucks. And so the job's going to take twice as long as it was supposed to at the beginning of the day. And now we have to reschedule everything. You're always going to be defined, your company is going to be defined by how you handle those solutions. Communication is always going to be the biggest thing that drives those solutions forward. The better, more clearly, and more quickly that you communicate is always going to produce the very best result in the end, and people are always going to have a very good view of you when you face a challenge. Yesterday, I just had a conversation with a guy who has a lot of great systems and a technology-driven process in his business, and they came across something that they missed on a job. And because of this technology-driven system that they have, before they were 30 minutes away from the job, the customer looked at the finished photos of that job and said, man, there was a couple things missed. And he said, we had a huge problem on Friday. This is what the business owner said to me. We had a huge problem with this customer on Friday. And my response to him was, that's not a problem at all, because the customer was able to figure out that problem existed. You were able to turn the trucks around, get the guys back to the job, and solve the problem within 30 minutes. So the way that they were able to solve the problem so quickly actually probably made that experience a little bit more memorable. So I'm not telling you to go out and make mistakes on purpose, but when you have mistakes, it'll always be the solution that matters most, and how you communicate that solution and how you recover from those challenges that'll ultimately become the culture within your business, become the way that people view your business. The biggest thing for you to figure out when it comes to problems is that, number one, everybody has them, and how you shift your perspective to see problems and challenges as an opportunity, right? The ability to kind of push yourself forward, to stand out even further with people, is such a huge differentiator. Because a lot of people, when you face challenges, when you face problems, a lot of people crumble from that pressure. So if you are one of those people that can shift your perspective and start looking at every problem as an opportunity for you to bring that customer a little closer, gain their trust a little bit more, solve the problems of those friends around you, right? Shift their perspective when it comes to problems and looking at them as an opportunity. An old mentor of mine told me once, man, get excited when you face adversity, because your competition is probably going to quit. So when you don't quit, you are actually creating distance between you and your competition as a result of these problems. So it's really, really important for you to have the right perspective when it comes to challenges and adversity and how you deal with that stuff. Because if you do, you're going to create massive distance between you and your competition. I like to refer to it as separation season, right? When the cards are on the table and things get really, really difficult, it creates an ability for you to separate yourself from the competition, and for people really to look at you as a reliable person that's going to be able to stay stable during a time of uncertainty, right? When the challenges come, if you're the stable, steady hand, you're going to be the person that people flock to when it comes to problems happening. You're going to be the resource, you're going to be the problem solver, and that's a really valuable place to be as a professional or as a person. The way that you have to look at and diagnose problems is, first, number one most important thing that you do is take all of the emotions out of whatever it is that you're dealing with, right? So when you're thinking about the problem, the first thing that usually happens is you start to feel that kind of anxiety of what you're going to deal with and how you're going to deal with it and what the other person is going to say about the problem that you're facing. And so if you can just stay calm, don't make any assumptions, right? Anything that you project into the future about what could potentially happen is just a lie that you're telling to yourself that is not true. So remember that. Stay calm, remove all of your emotions from the problem-solving process, and just look at it as the face value. Look at it from a logical perspective and a non-emotional perspective, and you'll be able to start digging through that problem. Make no assumptions, have the conversation. Again, have that conversation by taking the emotions out of it so that you keep the other party or parties that are involved as calm as possible, and you just take it one step at a time and diagnose the problem. So you start to figure out what steps you need to take and how you're going to take them. Keep the emotions calm within you, and it'll be very easy for you to start working through these types of problems. Step one is definitely gather all the facts and diagnose the problem with as much detail as you possibly can, right? So you want to be working through it in as much, understanding the problem, understanding the landscape of what you're dealing with in as much detail. The second step is to go and immediately have the conversation with the impacted parties, if that's other people, if that's your customer, whoever it is. And then step three is to then take that conversation that you've had without the emotions in it and come back and circle back as a team internally or as a family or whatever, the group that is actually dealing with the problem. You want to circle back based on the actual facts of what you collected and that what you collected from the opposite side, and then you'll be on your way to really getting to the root cause of the problem and being able to solve it.